Hey guys, this is Devin here with Hillbilly Networks. I had a comment in my last video asking about how we're going to repair this line. This line will in fact be repaired just like you said. We'll cut the fiber cable. We'll drop the tail on each end of that cut, and we'll build a closure on each end with a new piece of cable in the center of that, and we'll butt splice it together. So you're gonna have two splice points, new piece of cable in the middle, and that is literally how you fixed underground, overhead. It's literally that simple. There's not really, as far as the repair itself, there's not much more to it. It's very costly, I will say that, and there's a lot, in terms of planning to make it an efficient repair, an effective repair. For example, if it's overhead, not every pole is a good closure pole. You want to select a pole that is easy to get to for maintenance in the future, as well as the installation itself. So you want to look at access. Is it far away from the road, close to the road? You may not have that option, depending on the situation. But in a lot of cases I deal with, you have that option. It may be a span or two down, but you have that option. And I would rather go a span or two down and put it somewhere that the crews can get to easily than put it really far off the road where it's storming and raining and something happens in the future, and now we can't get a bucket truck out there because everything's mucked up out there, and the bucket truck's going to get stuck, and you don't want to get a massive bucket truck stuck in the middle of the field. They're not easy to get out. It's doable. You will get it out, but that's something you want to avoid. So that's the only thing I would add to that. Not every pole is a good closure pole, so we won't necessarily go immediately to the two closest poles beside that. We might go a couple spans down depending on location and access. But yes, the way you said to repair that is how you'd repair it. I will go ahead and cover underground. Underground is basically the exact same. Say you had a section underground that was damaged and it's bore pipe. You can actually get a Mini-X in there and dig up that bore pipe where it's damaged, and as long as it's only damaged in that one spot, you can actually splice that pipe together. They make these fittings called Comfits, and they're actually designed, they have these teeth inside of them, this rigid teeth-like material that will grab the pipe on each end, so when it pulls, it won't let it pull apart. It's not a common coupling that you just put glue in on each end, because those will pull apart underground for sure. So you splice that together, and then basically you cut out you pull out the old cable and you just shoot a new piece through, and you do a butt splice on each end. Same situation. I will say, in both situations though, the first thing you're going to want to do is inspect that cable several spans down and several volts down if it's underground, and make sure that the cable is not damaged farther down the line. Because if it was a piece of machinery that did it and it's not a squirrel, you can almost guarantee it damaged it in multiple spots, just like you saw in that video, because that's a lot of strength. I've seen where an auger literally damaged it 2 volts down. In 2 different vaults, it affected the cable. Didn't affect the bore pipe in those vaults, and I'm talking vaults that are 1,000 foot apart. But once it, that auger grabs that and twirls it up around it, it literally will buckle the fiber, bend it completely sideways in the next vault down and the one after that possibly. So you need to open each of those and inspect them. And then on top of that, if the cable is not active, or if it is active but everything's already down, it ain't gonna hurt anything at that point to go ahead and make a cut in the middle and put a divot tester, which is a bare fiber tester. That's actually what it's called. It's called divot, D-I-V-O-T, and I'll do a video on that. And you hook that on one of those fibers, you shoot it both ways, and you make sure you're getting the distance to your supply points you should be getting, because you may shoot it one way and find, it's only going 1,500 foot this way. Well, that means it's damaged 1,500 foot that way, because you may not visually see damage, but it might be there. So first thing is to inspect it and test it to determine how far the damage actually goes. But that's basically summing up how you replace a section of fiber, how you would repair it, whether it's squirrel damage or machinery, or somebody shooting it with a shotgun. Any of those things, that's what you do each time. Sometimes you might have the convenience of having a case a splice enclosure that's already existing a couple spans down, and in that case, you're probably just going to run a fiber into that. You don't have to put a whole nother can in there if you can avoid that. And you don't want to put a whole nother can in there if you can avoid that, because you're creating more loss than necessary at that point. Because the more splice points you have, the more loss you have, because you are going to get loss when you do splices. It may not be a lot, but you're going to get some. It's never perfect. But anyways, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks.